Good morning, everyone. This is Goetic Spirit number 12, Citri. He's a great prince, and appeareth at first with a leopard's head and the wings of a griffin. But after the command of the master of exorcism, he putteth on human shape, and that very beautiful. He inflameth men with woman's love, and women with men's love, and causeth them to show themselves naked, if it be desired. Well, anyway, that's also the card that belongs. That's the day spirit of the Four of Cups, which is today's decan and today's tarot card, Blended Pleasure. Crowley calls it luxury, and it's a moon in Cancer, which is the moon's very happy in Cancer, actually. Well, anyway, welcome to another installment of Ask Baba Lon. And today's letter asks Baba Lon about the AA and the various individuals who were at the time that this was written claiming to be the only true AA. Now, please keep in mind that this letter and my answer were written nearly 30 years ago. And that at that time, there were some pretty crazy people, perhaps even dangerous. They were actively soliciting students in the name of the AA. Thank goodness those individuals that I'm referring to in my answer to this letter that I'm about to read are, to my knowledge, no longer in operation, or at least outwardly so. So I want to make it clear that I was not referring to any of the so-called AA lineages that you're likely to know of today in 2020. Just remember, if a potential AA contact gives you the creeps, or if they're pushy, or if their group seems sort of like a cult, you might be right. Even if they seem to have great credentials, you might be right. I guess the best Baba Lon advice that I can give today would be, ultimately, on a spiritual level, there was, is, and always shall be only one AA. It has no opposites. It has no counterparts. And no matter what so-called lineage you may affiliate with, the work will always be your own personal quest. And you will likely succeed or fail in spite of your teacher's best efforts and not because of them. Okay, so I just wanted to say that. And so that's my preface to this, especially this very first letter. Will the real AA please stand up? Dear Baba Lon, could you tell me which AA you recommend? Name withheld. Dear name withheld. There's more than one AA? Baba Lon. He writes back, or she, I forget which one. I mean, which lineage? It's rumored, yes, on the internet, LOL, that some of them aren't living up to their original purpose. Or can you put me in touch with the right people? I just don't want to get defrauded on something so important. The internet abounds with those who claim to be the one true wise order. Thanks. Name withheld. Dear name withheld. I knew what you meant. I was just being a smart ass. When it comes right down to it, I don't believe that anyone is qualified to say with absolute certainty which lineage of the AA is or is not living up to its original purpose. If you believe that you are in the AA, the pressure is really on you and not your AA contact. As far as how you go about prosecuting the great work, at least. For instance, I know of at least 2 lineages that come from Crowley through Germer, through whomever, one of whom I consider to be about as legitimate and ethical as any on earth. The other is led by an individual that I personally consider to be mentally ill and perhaps even dangerous. And like I said, this is 30 years ago, and I'm not referring to anyone today that you're likely to ask me questions about. Of course, I wouldn't recommend the latter, not because I'm challenging the individual's AA credentials, but because I think he or she is at the moment mad as a hatter. That being said, I'm also very uncomfortable with any group that actively recruits members by hinting, suggesting, or advertising that they're the doorway to the AA or otherwise dedicated to the AA. Even though leaders of these groups may indeed have legitimate personal AA credentials. I believe their actions are at best presumptuous misrepresentation and at worst a gross perversion of Crowley's original schema for private AA work and the creation of a social environment ripe for all the abuses we commonly associate with cults. In my opinion, the AA is a profoundly private affair, and until such time you're prepared to take on a student, you should only officially know one other person, your superior. And at the moment, and this is 30 years ago, I have no reservations about giving you the address below. And it's a postal address in London, which was the OTO International felt very comfortable with giving that address in official public documents. At the moment, I trust the source of this information. I have yet to receive a complaint from others with whom I've shared it. That's about as helpful I can be at the moment. Good luck, Babylon. The next letter from a different person, and I entitled it, Jerks and Assholes in the OTO. Dear Babylon, I have questions that I hope you may be able to answer for me. Everything I've read regarding the law of Thelema, the OTO, and the 9393 says to me that one must live with integrity and with the aim of living in alignment with one's higher will and divinity. It is saying to me that I should try to control my base will and be disciplined in harnessing the higher. I know a couple of people who are involved in the OTO, and they always seem to escape from life through alcohol and drugs. They do not seem to live lives with morals or with any concern for the well-being of others. They just seem hell-bent on pursuing their own fleeting interests, it seems to the detriment of their own self-growth. I'm inquiring as to whether my interpretation of OTO has some truth to it, and if not, I'm hoping you may be able to suggest where I turn now to investigate further. Sincerely, name withheld. Do you hear that airplane going over? I'll wait for a second. Constance is out in the backyard picking green beans, green and yellow and purple ones. Okay. Hi, name withheld. Being a member of the OTO or any organization does not in and of itself make one a Thelemite. You observe accurately that not all, perhaps most people who present themselves as Thelemites live up to the standards and ideals you might associate with someone who is seeking to discover and then doing his or her will. I have been in the OTO since 1975. I've seen many jerks and assholes come and go. I've seen some transform into great adepts. And I've seen some of them crash and burn, fall by the wayside, die. One thing I've learned in all these years is that it's a big mistake for me to spend too much of my precious time trying to guess or verify to my satisfaction whether or not this brother or that sister is behaving thelemically. Give me a break. Who the F am I to judge whether or not someone is living up to the thelemic ideal? I have a hard enough time determining from moment to moment whether or not I am behaving thelemically. Fellowship with others of like mind should be an integral feature of OTO membership, but it's not the most important one. Your own development is the most important part of the experience. And to help you with that, the OTO offers you the personal, magical psychodramas of the degree initiation ceremonies and exposes you to the its supreme secret of magic in the form of the Gnostic Mass. And make no mistake about it, brother, it is a blockbuster. These are experiences you must absorb, process, and allow to work their alchemy upon you and you alone. No matter how many jerks, assholes, or adepts surround you in the OTO and in life, the real work of magic will always be done by you alone. You will always be an OTO of one. As you know, there are many degrees in the OTO, but only 3 grades. The highest is that of hermit. Hermits should be invisible, giving only their inscrutable light to the world. The next grade is that of lover. Ideally, here is where the sweet mystery of the Holy Grail dominates the magician's meditations and practices. The OTO should be harmonious, fun, and beautiful at this level. If it isn't, you should be. And you should make it so. The lowest grade is man of earth. If I'm not mistaken, this is currently your position in the OTO. The highest percentage of OTO members are your brothers and sisters at this level. The man of earth grade is peopled with men and women who are still grasping for the meaning of it all, individuals who may or may not be Thelemites in the ideal sense of the word, people who are being tested as to whether or not they currently have what it takes to become lovers and hermits. This is something I'm sure you must be asking yourself as well. No one should be expected to fellowship with people with whom they are uncomfortable. If the members of your local OTO body creep you out or are not the type of people with whom you wish to associate on a regular basis, feel free to study in private. All the good stuff is readily available, lots of it free on the internet. If you feel it necessary, keep your participation in the local group to a minimum by appearing only when you are qualified to take your next degree and by attending the regular celebration of the Gnostic Mass. If you don't feel comfortable even doing that, arrange to travel and meet leaders and members of other bodies around the country or even overseas. I realize this would mean a measure of inconvenience and expense, but it might be worth a try before you throw the OTO baby out with the jerks and assholes bathwater. Finally, consider the possibility that the OTO may not be for you. Remember, you don't have to be a Thelemite. You don't have to be a Thelemic magician in order to gain enlightenment. And you don't have to gain enlightenment in order to be a relatively happy, and you don't have to gain enlightenment in order to be relatively happy in this incarnation. And you don't have to be relatively happy in this incarnation in order to eventually fulfill your ultimate destiny. I hope this has been helpful. Babylon. And I think that's where I'll stop today with that. Tomorrow will be AA and Aberration and Dirty Old Men. Dirty Old Men in the OTO. I think you'll like tomorrow's. In any event, I hope you're enjoying this, and I am. And I hope to see you tomorrow morning. Yesterday when I was all dressed up, I was actually all dressed up for a Zoom type interview with my friends at the Sixth Sense. And they were interviewing me from a wonderful Masonic library. But anyway, I posted a link to that just if you scroll down my page and have some time to watch that interview. I'm all dressed up for that one too. So tomorrow I'll be here, hopefully, at 10 a.m. And until then, continue to be good to yourself and good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.